Hey, what's up, everybody? Let's Talk Jets Radio. Hope you guys are all doing well. Shout out to everybody that's been calling in on Tuesday nights. We definitely appreciate it. Reminder that we'll be back live tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, talking Jets. 929-477-2651 is the number if you guys want to call in and chat with us. Also, shout out to everybody that's been interacting with us on Instagram at Talk Jets Radio. We definitely appreciate it. I've been trying to, switch things up a little bit on there, posting a whole lot of old footage and clips from different players as we count down to what's hopefully going to be a 2020 Jets football season. We'll see how everything goes. But yeah, today was 76 days away. So shout out to Jumbo Elliott. Yesterday was 77. So shout out to Chris Jenkins and so on. So again, it's at Talk Jets Radio if you guys want to follow and interact with us on there. And this video, it's going to get into a whole bunch of different opinions, quotes from different analysts and players and coaches as it relates to this Jamal Adams, Adam Gase situation. And really, it all started when Manish put out his article, I think it was 4 days ago, basically saying that a big part of why Jamal Adams wants out is Adam Gase. And the immediate reaction was overly negative towards Manish, which doesn't really surprise me. People think that, he has an anti-Gase agenda and that, he's always out to, promote the negative story. But me personally, probably from like 2009 to 2015 or 2016, I don't think you could find anybody that disliked Manish more than I did. I always felt he was negative. He had an agenda. He was always out to make the team look bad. It was hard to really defend or ever want to click anything that he would put out there. But then the more and more that you see things play out over time, you start to see that, oh, wow, he's right. He does have inside information. And the story that kind of did it for me, and one of the first articles that I ever wrote, was the way that he was handling the Mo Wilkerson situation, which turned out, he turned out to be right. He had inside information. He knew that, Mo was showing up late to practices and a whole bunch of stuff that was going on off the field. Whereas fans, we were oblivious. We were buying his jersey. We were, supporting his football camps. And we thought, he was a perfect homegrown kid, leader, all that stuff. So I think that Manish does see that there is value as far as giving the fans an inside look of what's really going on in the organization. We're the ones that are, dedicating our time, our money to this team. So, if he sees something, if he hears something, he wants to tell fans about that. And yeah, sometimes his approach, I don't always agree with. He harps on some things a little bit too much. He plays the antagonist role a little bit. But at the end of the day, I feel like he's right more than he's wrong. And it's not to say that he's not wrong sometimes. You have the Logan Ryan story and, Kyle Long, both this offseason. But I think that's just kind of the nature of being a beat reporter. Sometimes you get information that just doesn't come to fruition. It doesn't mean that the source that provided the information didn't have information. Sometimes things just don't happen. So I think Manish gets a little bit too much heat for, always being somebody that's labeled as anti-Gase, when a lot of the stories that he's reporting are stories that were only reported by a lot of Dolphins beat reporters after he left Miami. And one of the ones that stood out to me that I think you guys should check out, it was from Omar Kelly from the Sun Sentinel. And this was actually written in October on Halloween of 2019. If you go back and check out that article, he basically just summed up how towards the end of Gase's third year, he really started losing a lot of respect in that locker room. He had already shipped out some players, and there were other guys that were just disgruntled with their role, didn't trust him. And, by the end of the season, he had lost a good part of the locker room, and that's what led to him getting fired. And, he even said, like, he sees elements of Bill Belichick in Adam Gase, but the one thing that's going to hold him back is the ego, the need for power, and the need for control. And so when you read that article and you see all the trends already in the first year with things that happened in Miami that are already starting to happen here, you start to think that Manish's article definitely at least has some kind of credibility to it. So it's hard to totally dismiss it. And again, Manish basically said, like, not just that Jamal wants out because of Adam Gase, but there are other players as well that don't have a whole lot of trust in Gase, and not just players, but other coaches and guys in that front office. And so obviously that's a problem. But then you also get to some players that spoke out in favor of Adam Gase. You had Alex Lewis, who, basically said, hey, Manish, you don't speak for everybody here. and you had CJ Mosley, I think, who had a comment on Instagram. And we know that Frank Gore and Sam Darnold, they have Gase's back to a certain extent. So I think you could start to see the makings of a divide, which, is unfortunate, between Jamal. We know Le'Veon Bell probably doesn't like him. Marcus May, that was one of the first guys that Gase talked about trading when he came here and got McCagnon fired. So, there's a lot of elements to this, but I can definitely see Gase being a factor, not the full reason, but a factor, just based off of everything that is a part of his history in Miami. Now, you get to the comments from Gase at his press conference. And to me, that part was interesting because a lot of people gave Gase a ton of praise. And I'll start with the praise. He didn't say anything wrong. He basically just said, hey, we hope to get on the same page with Jamal. He's a great player, and, we have to get on the same page with him. And, we got to find a way to find common ground. And, again, he didn't say anything wrong there, but at the same time, and it was Dan Orlovsky, who was on ESPN, on ESPN radio this afternoon. And he was basically saying, in regards to that, he was like, I wish Gase would have been a little bit more vocal, in expressing how badly this team needs Jamal, because it does. As far as needing star talent, like the Jets need Jamal. And, that was an opportunity, I think, for Gase to really show Jamal that the Jets want to keep him. Now, I'm not saying that, Jamal at this point already doesn't want out, and so he doesn't want to, create a situation where, he gets the fans' hopes up that, he's going to be resigned or anything like that. But I think that Gase got a lot of praise for this when we don't really know what also led up to it. I think this could also be a situation where, it's one of two things. Maybe Gase has learned, and he's learned to put aside the ego, and he realizes, hey, I can't always have friction with a star player. Or the other side of it could be, hey, we knew by not having these communications with Jamal that it would cause this kind of reaction. And then we could play the media and just said, hey, whoa, we didn't do anything wrong. We want to keep Jamal. We just got to get on the same page. And, we didn't do anything bad here. Almost like, two siblings that are always fighting. And then the one, learns to instigate and get the other one in trouble. I could almost see Gase, trying to play the media game to, turn everybody on Jamal. And again, Jamal has done himself no favors in the situation. It's clear that he's turned a lot of people against him. And I don't begrudge anybody that, at this point doesn't trust Jamal Adams or has lost faith in Jamal Adams as a leader and stuff like that. I'll just keep, pointing back to the same situation as far as, Jamal Adams on the field and even off the field for pretty much all of his Jets tenure before this whole situation escalated. He's been what you look for in a draft pick. Everything that you look for in a draft pick. Yes, he is a cornerstone type player that you should want to build around. And so, just for things to escalate to this point, it's possible that Jamal has wanted out from the beginning. And that's why I keep saying, like, if you had these communications earlier, you would have been able to get some draft compensation in this draft to help you this season. But by putting everything off, you kind of eliminated that possibility. If he wasn't pissed off at you entirely and was willing to sign a contract, before all this, that would have been great. But if his intention was to get traded all along, well, if you have those discussions before the draft, you can still get, Cowboys first round pick, which would have been CeeDee Lamb. You still could have made something like that happen. And so by not having the communications, by basically putting it off entirely and ignoring it, now you have this situation and we don't know what's going to happen. We all expect, I think, Jamal Adams to show up for training camp, but I don't think it's a guarantee. I personally, it doesn't look like he has any intention of ever putting on a Jet uniform ever again. But whether or not, it's just a bluff, this is his way of, trying to call the Jets out and make them look as bad as possible, in hopes of forcing a trade. It's possible. But at the end of the day, would he actually take it to that extent of holding out and losing money and, losing an accrued season or whatever else? I don't know if he would take it to that point or not. I really don't. But, for Joe Douglas and Adam Gase, they really got to reach out and try and get on the same page if it's still possible, or repair the relationship. Or if it's not, you kind of have to hold out and dig your heels in and make sure you get the best package possible in a trade, because you already turned down a first and a third. So at this point, to give him up for anything less, I think it would make you look like you kind of caved and you lost that battle. So that's something to pay attention to there. And just at the end of the day, I mean, I think this isn't just an Adam Gase situation. I think Adam Gase is a factor, but I think it's Gase, it's ownership, it's contract to an extent, not the entire reason. But the reason I say contract is because I feel like it's a Jets tax at this point. Jamal Adams wants to win. He doesn't trust the Jets. ownership or Adam Gase in any time soon to win. So if he's going to play another down for the Jets, he wants guarantees as far as money. If he's going to risk getting injured or anything else, or even not being a part of a winning team, he wants that money now, and he wants a ridiculous amount as a Jets tax. Otherwise, he wants to go play for a winner now. So I think that's why he's taken this stance. And again, it might just be entirely because he wants out, and he's going to do whatever he has to force his way out. But again, that's why you should have had the discussions a while ago. So looking forward to talking about this tomorrow night. I hope you guys tune in. And again, the number's 929-477-2651 if you want to call in. And I'll talk to you guys later. Go Jets.